Hey guys, welcome back to Art with Miss Mullins. This week we're going to talk about form. Form is an element of art. Form just means that an object looks like it's popping out at you. It doesn't look flat. So today we're going to make form out of paper. Let's get started.
Let's make art together with Miss Mullins today.
First thing we're going to need is some paper, some glue, a pencil, and some scissors. First, I'm going to pick a piece of paper to be my background paper, and I'm going to write my name on the bottom. Then I'm going to set that aside. Next, I'm going to grab my stack of colorful paper. If you do not have colorful paper, you can always use regular white paper and color it yourself. Now I'm going to show you how I made my paper small. I took a regular size piece of paper and I folded it in half. Once I folded it in half, I had this line down the middle. Using my scissors, I very carefully cut across this line. Now I have two small pieces of paper. These are the papers that we will use for our flower petals. I'm going to grab my first piece of paper and turn it horizontally or side to side. I'm going to fold it in half long ways and make sure the corners line up. Once you've folded this piece of paper, you're going to grab your scissors and you're going to cut a thin strip on one side. You're going to keep cutting these thin strips all the way down this paper. Try to make them the same size. Once you have all of these strips, you're going to grab another piece of paper. This is going to be the center of your flower. Here you're going to draw a circle. Do your best to draw a circle. If you have something small and round, you can use that to trace. You're going to need two circles. Once I have my two circles drawn, I'm going to cut them out. Notice how I turn my paper more than I turn my scissors. Once my two circles are cut out, I'm going to grab my first strip of paper. These are going to be my petals. Here I'm going to grab my liquid glue. I'm going to put a small dot on the end of this strip of paper. I'm going to press the ends together and hold it for at least 10 seconds. Once I've held it for 10 seconds, I'm going to make sure that I didn't glue the petal completely flat, just the end. Now I'm going to grab my circle and I'm going to glue my petal onto my circle. I'm going to put a teeny tiny dot of glue on the end of my petal and then stick it onto my circle and hold for 10 seconds. If you don't have liquid glue, you can also use a glue stick. When you use your glue stick, wind it up just a little bit so that a little bit of glue is showing through the top. And then put a little bit of glue on the end of the strip. Remember, we don't want the petal to be completely flat. We want it to pop out just a little bit. Once you've done that and held it for 10 seconds, grab that glue stick, put a little glue on the end again, and glue it onto your circle. You're going to keep doing this until you have 4 petals. Once you get to 4, you may think, I don't have any more room to put petals. But all you're going to do is start putting petals in between the petals you already put on your circle. Once you've filled all that in, you're going to continue to do this. Put a little dot of glue on the end and put your next petal in between two other petals, like this, and hold for 10 seconds. Do this until you've filled in all the gaps. If you end up not having enough petals, you can always make a few extra if you need to. Once you're done with your petals, put those aside. Now I'm going to grab a green paper. I'm going to fold it in half and fold it in half one more time. That means when I unfold my paper, it's going to have 3 lines on it. I'm going to cut those 3 lines. Now grabbing one piece of green paper, I'm going to grab a pencil and start wrapping my paper around the pencil. This is just to help the paper start curling in the direction we want it to go. Once you've wrapped your pencil nice and tight, we don't need it anymore, so we're going to put it to the side. Now we're going to take that paper that started curling up and we're going to curl it real tight. Once we get close to the end, leave a small gap and put a thin line of glue on that extra little bit and fold it up. We want to hold this for, you guessed it, 10 seconds. Once your stem looks like it won't fall apart anymore, we're going to grab our petals and the circle that we use for the center of our flower. Here I'm going to put some glue on it, and in art class we like to say, dot dot, not a lot of glue. Now I'm going to grab my petals, put my stem on top, and put the center of my flower on top of that and hold it down until it doesn't want to come off. And now you should have the flower. I'm going to set my flower aside, and I chose to take another piece of green paper and make some leaves out of it. I did this by drawing football shapes and then cutting those out. Now it's time to make my vase. I'm going to grab a small piece of paper that I want to use for the color of my vase and another small piece of paper that I want to use for the color of the pattern I want to put on my vase. I want to make stripes on my vase, so I'm going to cut a thin strip of paper. Here I'm going to put the thinnest line of glue onto this yellow strip. And then I'm going to place it on my vase where I would like. And hold it down for at least 10 seconds. I want to add a few more stripes, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I decided that I also wanted to add some circles, so I'm going to draw those on my yellow piece of paper and then cut them out and glue them on. Remember to turn the paper instead of your scissors. Now that I have my vase, I'm going to turn it over so that it is horizontal. I'm going to grab my glue and put a thin line of glue on the edge of my vase. Now I'm going to fold it so that the gluey side is on top of the other side. Line those up as best you can. Go slow if you need to. Hold it in that position until it doesn't want to fall apart. Now you have a vase. Now I'm going to grab my paper that I used as my background. Make sure your name is on the back and not the front. I'm going to grab my vase. Notice how there's a seam. We want to hide that seam. So I'm going to grab my glue and put the thinnest line of glue onto that seam. Turn it over and place it near the bottom of your paper and hold it down. Now I'm going to grab my flower and turning it over to the back, I'm going to put some glue on the center circle and on the stem. Remember, dot dot, not a lot. Now I'm going to put my flower in my vase and hold it down until it sticks. Now I'm going to grab my leaves I made earlier and dot dot, not a lot of glue, and stick it on. Great job, guys! I hope you enjoyed making form with me today. I think this little flower turned out pretty cute. Hopefully you can fit in more flowers than I did, with many different colors too. I'll see you next week. Bye guys!